Hi, I'm Jenny Ray, the Managing Director of Management Consulted, and I'm back today to bring some light to one of my favorite topics on advanced case interviews. In particular, we're talking about Bain today, baby. One of my favorite things to talk about in general. And Bain is a really special place, so we're going to highlight how it's different to go through a Bain case interview versus BCG and McKinsey. Bain is a little bit of a Wild West kind of place, a little bit anything goes, a little bit cut and dry, a little bit party, a little bit business. So it's really important to make sure that you understand when you're going through the interview, not only the style of the interview, but also the math and ultimately how to win at Bain interviews. Something different from the other two firms, so make sure you pay close attention. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the style of a Bain interview. Now, I would love to tell you that all Bain interviews are interviewer-led or interviewee-led, but the reality is it's really up to the interviewer oftentimes to decide. So you have no idea what you're going to get. And in general, Bain prides itself on having a black box in the interview process. They're not predictable. It's not super easy to prepare for them. The reason is that they're trying to keep your brain on. They want to see you think as you're going in the interview. They want to catch you off guard, twist you a little bit, turn you this way, make sure that they see who the real you is. Bain is probably the top firm in terms of uncovering the real you. They're not looking for somebody who fits into a mold. They're looking for somebody who's authentically themselves. So that's really important to know when you're thinking about interviewee-led or interviewer-led. Practice both because you could get either at Bain. The next thing that's really helpful to understand is that Bain interviews are often very brusque and high level. What I mean by this is that if a Bain interviewer has seen all that they need to see, they won't finish the case, positively or negatively. They'll spend 5 minutes on the case. They'll see you open it. They'll see you ask a question. If you totally nail it, they'll be like, great, I saw that. We're done. Let's talk about other things. But at the same time, if you're doing poorly, they might say, ooh, saw everything I need. Super sweet. Thanks so much. Let's talk later, but they don't really mean it. So make sure that as you're going through the process with Bain, you recognize that when they're being brusque and high level with you, they're trying to get you to focus on the key issues and show them something right away. You can't warm up into a Bain interview. You've got to come ready to play. The third thing that's important to know about Bain interviews is that they care more about the why than the right way. They're less about process and more about how you think. So they're more interested in why you're saying what you're saying as opposed to going through the standard process politely. Bain people will interview you and interrupt you as you go. So it will not feel like a normal interviewer or interviewee-led case because you'll be interrupted in the middle and you may even switch partners as you go. You may be in charge 1 minute, they may be in charge the next. You have to be flexible. You have to be ready to always explain why you're saying what you're saying. They're not looking for you to be super sweet and talk about how everything that you just said was so amazing. They're not looking for you to go all lacking confidence on them either. They're not ready for you to just go back on what you said. And they're not ready for you to fight. They're ready for you just to clearly justify why you think what you think. The fourth thing that's important to know about these interviews at Bain and their style is that they're often highly informal. While McKinsey interviews are very formal, BCG interviews are pretty conversational, Bain interviews are informal. So they may feel a little jerky. You may go back and forth between fit and case. It may not feel like a seamless, normal interview. But in general, they're just trying to test what you're going through in the process. The fit interview for Bain is a real key part of the interview, in fact. They may ask just one question, but they generally have made their decision by the end of that question. So just be prepared to really come to the party, but you don't want to be too formal or too poised in a Bain interview because you're not going to be ready to go quickly to where they need you to go. The next thing that's helpful to understand is about Bain math. And Bain math is kind of a special case scenario as well. The good news is that Bain math usually focuses on simple algebra. They're not looking to data dump you a whole bunch of information, and they're not trying to twist and turn and test you. Bain isn't about hiding information from you. They're not about holding information back. They're not about watching you gather the appropriate data. They're about understanding what you're looking for and why, and then what you're planning to do with it. So they're very focused on just the clear and direct answer. Bain people are very answer-driven, so make sure that you're simulating that when you go through the math part. Beyond just making sure that you're using simple algebra, you can expect for Bain market sizing, chart interpretation, and segmentation, similar to McKinsey. They're going to test a lot of the similar options. But you might want to review some Bain slides before you go into the interview because oftentimes Bain will share slides from actual cases with you. Sometimes they're simplified or they're actually sterilized a bit, but for the most part, they're really similar to the ones that you would find, for example, on a site like SlideShare. So make sure that you review some Bain style charts so that you're ready to prepare it. Like I said before, Bain people rarely leave data out, but they do often require you to make assumptions. So as you're going through the process, make sure that you're not looking for hidden data, but that you are simplifying the data that you've got. If you need to make some interpretations of data, make sure that the assumptions that you're making are very clearly demarcated. And then finally, one thing that's important about Bain cases, even more than McKinsey cases or BCG cases, is that math questions can lead for Bain to inconclusive next steps. You might have, for example, 2 segments of the market that look attractive, or 2 plans of action that both look like possibilities. For Bain, they're generally looking for the higher risk, higher reward statement, and they're also looking for you to make a judgment call. There may not be a right or a wrong answer in Bain cases. There may just be some different channels that you can go down. So again, focus on the why, be prepared to make a statement, but also defend why it is that you want to do what you're planning to do. For Bain math across the board, you can't expect something that's super complicated, but you can expect the simple algebra, the use of some big numbers, and general interpretation. So what you're probably wondering and hopefully interested in understanding is how you win at Bain cases. Well, one of the first things that you need to note is that you need to focus on speed to the answer, not a thorough process. This doesn't mean that you leave your process entirely behind. Rather, at the beginning of the case, you focus on the process, but you do whatever it takes to get to the answer. So reorganize your process, go to the most important piece, skip around a little bit, keep your process in mind, but don't go methodically step by step through it. If what you need to do is just focus on the key issue. The second thing that's important to do is don't talk for too long in Bain interviews. They don't wait until the end of the interview to assess you. So you don't want to be rambling on and explaining yourself early on in the interview, because that part of the interview, usually the first 10 to 15 minutes, is where the decision is made, often as early as the first 5 minutes. So don't take too long to expand on your reasons, and don't talk for too long at any one given time in a Bain interview. The next thing that's helpful is that it's good, because Bain cases are not as heavily quantitatively driven as McKinsey cases, to use numbers to show how you're data-driven. What I mean by this is that it's helpful if you're interested in doing a piece of analysis to offer 2 scenarios to say, well, if, for example, the market came out to $100 million, that would be really attractive. But if it only came out to $2 million, that wouldn't be attractive. Let's go look at the size of the market. So for Bain, oftentimes they're simply quantifying things without actually going through the whole process. But that shows that you're data-driven and that you can use numbers with fluidity throughout the case. The next thing, the fourth thing that's important to know for Bain, is that hypotheses are not the most important Bain approach. They're not that interested in what you think is the answer. They're interested in what you think the core issue is. They're interested in making sure that you understand how to get to the root of the problem. There, hopefully you'll find what the answer is. But make sure, again, that you're focusing on the most important issues and going straight to them. Spending a ton of time explaining your hypotheses and why you think that's the right hypothesis in a Bain case could just make you look dumb, because as you're going through the process, they're really interested in understanding, the process of how you do things, but also, again, your level of priority. So make sure that you're not just focused on the hypothesis, because it could lead you to myopically miss something that they're asking you to look for. The final thing that's important to know about Bain case interviews is that at the end of the case, when you're concluding, at junior levels, you need to use answer last conclusions. So quickly, you want to walk the interviewer through the different steps of the case and make sure that they understand what you did, and then you follow it with your conclusion. Again, the data may be inconclusive, so you're still going to have to decide. But at senior levels, because they're quick to the answer and interested in you understanding what the key issue should be, you should start out with an answer-first approach. So Bain includes a lot of nuance. You have to really think about the way that they use data, the way that the style works, and the way that you adjust your style in order to be prepared to come to the party and rock an interview with Bain. If you've got more questions about this, we've got tons of great resources on our website, including our Consulting Interview Bible, one-on-one sessions with us, and also lots of great free articles on the web at managementconsulting.com.